going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, Mr. Paul? How you doing, brother?
All
Around,
right.
man.
What's that?
I love that background. You got the wrestling belts in the background and everything. You like
Yeah, man. I'm a pro wrestling nerd, dude. I love that. I love it. It's still real to me.
who's your favorite wrestler of all time?
Of all time, Stone Cold. Stone Cold Steve Austin for sure.
Badass, man. He used to crack open a cold one and bust you over the head with it, right?
He was a believable, like, tough guy. You know, like he had the presence where you're just like, I don't want to mess with that guy. He'll screw me up. You know, like. But I bet you in real life, you know, when you hear him talk, right, in on like on interviews or whatever, he still has that sort of voice, but he seems like a down to earth guy, like a guy that you want to have beers with, you know.
And he displayed so much masculinity, man. Me seeing that at a young age, just how he carried himself, how he walked into a room. I feel like that's something that a lot of guys are missing nowadays. I was at the gym. I'm gonna make this quick. I was at the gym this morning, and I happened to see this couple working out, and the guy looked like he didn't have no sense of direction on what to do, how to get the workout started, not even to begin to stretch and then get into the workout. The woman looked like she was more into it than him, and I was just like, man, that's a bad pair right there, man.
That that shocks me, you know, because when I was in high school, I mean, like growing up, I had to take, you know, PE class, physical education. In
Right.
high school, I had to take weight training class. So I had to basically learn how to use the equipment, you know, and it's not that hard. It's pretty intuitive.
Mhm.
And then I was in the military, you know, where we had to work out in the military. We had to do like basic workouts. I was in martial arts, you
Yeah.
know, like so I've always known how to work out. So when I see people that go to the gym and they're just completely lost, I'm just like, how is that even possible, you know?
No type
And
of shit whatsoever. And that's big nowadays, man. I realize how that really affects society as a whole, man, and how people move. Just watching people how they carry themselves, like that's going to determine if somebody's going to try to run up on you. Like you said, either they're going to try to run up on you, or either they're just going to look at you and be like, "All right, I'm not going to mess with this guy. I'm going to leave
yeah,
it be, man." That is like honest truth, man. So let's what I mean, I was gonna say, let's go ahead and get into it, man, since we chopping it up. I really enjoying this already. So break down to my listeners, man, who is Paul, who is a Come On Man podcast, and let's go straight into it, man.
you want my Batman origin story?
Man, give it all, man.
All right. Yeah. So I was married for 14 years.
Hmm.
I was that guy that was just running towards that white picket fence. You know, I got married when I was 20 years old. I wasn't even old enough to buy alcohol at the wedding reception, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought that's what you had to do. I thought that's what you do, right? You get married, you have kids. And so I got married and had kids. I have two kids, and about halfway through that marriage,
Hmm.
I was completely miserable. You know, I would often pull out a cot and sleep in my office, and I didn't even want to be around my wife at the time. And it was in 20, let's see, we moved back to Colorado in 2013, and she waited till 2014, till January 2014, when a new alimony law kicked in,
Yeah.
so that she could file for divorce and take, maximum amount of alimony. And so yeah, I found myself divorced, but I wasn't necessarily upset about it. The biggest problem for me was just, the custody situation,
Right.
figuring out what we're going to do with the kids. I also didn't like that I had to pay her money.
Mhm.
You know, I'm like, we're adults now. You have a college degree. Why do I have to pay you anything? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was frustrating, but I was pretty much done with the idea of marriage as an institution at that point, but I wasn't done with women. You know, I was like, there's no reason to not date women. There's probably better women out here, better matches for me.
Exactly.
But I would, like a lot of guys, I got too comfortable in that relationship. I got fat.
Yeah.
I got out of shape. I was probably about 230 pounds when
Oh
I
man.
got divorced, and I'm only like 5'9". So I looked heavy. I looked terrible, right?
Yeah.
So I found myself back on the dating circuit, no practice after 15 years, fat and out of shape. I floundered, dude. I sucked at like I couldn't I didn't know what it meant to like make a move. You know, like I wanted a written invitation from chicks to even go in for a kiss,
You
right?
was
Like,
green. Yeah, you was green at the time. I can dig.
dude, yeah, dude. So about 11 months after the separation, I did finally meet a chick that she really liked that I was a veteran, right? Like there's chicks out here that love veterans and I used to be I used to be in the Navy, right? So she liked my Navy stories. She sort of took pity on me and I immediately fell in love with this chick, right? Like ended up in another relationship for 4.5 years
Mhm.
and I fell into the same habits, right? Like I uh, was like a total beta simp, stopped trying really, stopped dating her and stuff because, you know,
Right,
I already had a chick. I'm like, why do I have to try? And, but this time was different though. Instead of being fat and out of shape, I actually got in shape while I was dating this gal.
right.
I started running, started, you know, exercising. I dropped tons of weight. And I've been able to keep that off since that was in 2016. I like decided I needed to take my health back. And so this time when she broke up with me in 2019, actually I technically broke up with her, but she was pushing me out, you know.
Right.
And but I found myself back on the dating circuit. I found that it was easy to get dates. It was actually easy to hook up with chicks this time.
Yeah.
And but I couldn't keep chicks around longer than like 2 or 3 dates. And I was like, dude, what is wrong with me, dude? You know, and
Yeah.
it was totally me. So I one of the blessings from that relationship was this gal was really big into self-help books and audiobooks specifically. And so I was like, you know, I bet you I could find some books, some online, you know, some books on Audible that could help me get better with women, help me like just overall improve my life.
Right.
And man, I just did a deep dive and I still do it. I still listen to audiobooks constantly
Never
because of
stop
that.
learning.
Never stop. Yeah. That
Yes.
was one of the books I read was Millionaire Next Door, The Millionaire Next Door, and that taught me that like most wealthy people read all the time. They're avid readers.
Yes.
So like I'm one of those guys that if I'm at the gym, if I'm in the car, if I'm out running,
Mhm.
because I'm an avid runner, I don't listen to music. I listen to audiobooks when I'm doing that stuff.
You know, it's therapeutic too, that you just spoke on that, like you said, you time back into self-improvement, right? And what
Mhm.
I asked you was, what are some tips or examples that you could actually give the listeners as far as self-improvement in self?
Yeah. So self improvement. There's this guy that I work with a lot in the red pill space named Ryan Stone. This guy's I talk this guy up all the time,
Yeah,
and he hates that I like fluff him up so much. But I've learned so much from this guy. But
yeah,
he's got this book. Can we cuss on your podcast?
man, you can be
Okay,
drink, do whatever you want to do, man.
okay,
This is
because he's got a book, right? His first book is called Fuck Files,
okay.
but it's spelled with two C's, like FUCC files, right?
Mhm.
And in that book, I never thought about it until I read his book, but he has a section in there called self-help is mental masturbation,
Yes,
right? So what I think the problem with that is not with what he said, but with self-help in general is it's really easy to get addicted to self-help in general, right? Like people just start listening to everything,
yeah,
but they have no direction on where they want to go in their life. So
yeah.
I think
Quiet.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I think that the key thing with any kind of self-help is sitting down with like a piece of paper and just figuring out what you want in your life. How do you want to see yourself in 10 years?
yeah.
And then sort of re-engineer that and get self-help books and material based on where you want to go.
I agree with that. You know what's funny about that too, because I noticed over the years myself growing up where when I wanted to learn something, it's like you would take in all this information, right? But you wasn't applying it. You would just
Mm,
all this knowledge, but you're not applying that knowledge. And that's the only way you're gonna actually learn. Like you said, you actually went out, you learned, you was like, dang, I'm messing up with these women. What am I doing? Because a
yeah.
lot of times, a lot of guys they'll start blaming a chick for behavior and stuff like that. And I can take that. I can speak for myself from example because I remember times just tripping about some shit and acting like a little bitch, and then you wonder why you getting the same in return is because it said you. So
Yeah.
once guys actually correct that behavior, man, they get better results in the long run. I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah, definitely. And you bring up a good point there, right? So one of the main books that helped me on my path was it's a book called How to Be a 3% Man by Corey Wayne.
Okay.
And in that book, Corey says that most people only retain about 10% of what they read. So if you really want to master the information in a particular book, you need to read it at least 10 to 15 times.
Right.
And so I met up with a group of other guys that were studying this book. And this was all in a Facebook, a men's group on Facebook
Okay.
called the 3% Man group. That group is gone now. It got wiped out. One of the admins, his account got banned, and the whole group with it. So
Got
we started a new group called the 3% Brotherhood, but it's based on guys who are studying this book. And one of the biggest problems that I found from guys in the original group was that they were trying to read that book 10 to 15 times before going out and trying to apply the principles. It's like, no, dude, like go out, read the book, go out and test it out. And
Yes.
then when things aren't working for you, read the book again and you'll figure out like, oh, I did that wrong. Or, or maybe this concept in the book doesn't work for me. Right. And so like one of the concepts in the book,
Yeah.
I didn't realize this until like my fourth read.
Hmm.
Right. But there's this concept of 2 steps forward, 1 step back with women. Right. And the way I thought of it was, let's say you're trying to sexually escalate with a chick. Right.
Right.
I thought that you only use this principle when she puts up resistance when you do that. And it's like, but if you go back and read it, and it took me, like I said, 4 times before I finally got what he was saying, was that you do the 2 steps forward, 1 step back throughout the entire date, right? You start from the beginning, like you go in, you whisper in her ear or something, you step back a little bit, talk to her a little bit. You go in, maybe touch her, step back a little bit. You do that shit through the whole date. By the end of the night, she wants to pull your clothes off. You don't even have to do anything. It's like,
And I like how you put that because you're not overstimulating. Because we know that too much stimulation, what I mean, it turns things off. It can be as far as you enjoying to work out. Like if somebody is enjoying to work out constantly, eventually they're gonna get hurt or pull something. You know.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
that's a great point. Another question that I do have for you: why is it important for men to learn how to interact with women? And you might have answered this just a few minutes ago.
Well, in general, let's take like relationships
Mm.
and dating out of it.
Yeah.
Women are half the people on this planet. If you don't learn how to interact with women or just be social in general with people, you're going to live a pretty lonely existence.
Yes, you're gonna be bored.
You're gonna be bored. Yeah, and there's a lot of guys out there. They're like, "Well, I don't need women. I'm on monk mode," and that's a cope, man. I think
Works.
deep down, they really do want that. They just don't know how to do it, and so they're just like, "Well, I'm just gonna give up." It's
And
like,
that's why men like you know what I mean, are here to actually show them and guide them and have actually a template to show them like, hey, you can get what you want, but you might have to change how you approaching, life itself, not just like you said, not just women, but life itself, because that's the only way you're gonna get, certain things out here and get what you want. You gotta put in some work, but you also gotta look at, okay, this is what didn't work for me. Let me be more accountable. Let me stop just blaming people for my failures and really just suck it up and get right and make things work out in your favor. I mean, that's the only way you're gonna see it.
yeah, definitely. And another thing too is
Mhm.
my message is it's for regular guys.
Mhm.
My target audience is regular dudes because there's a lot of guys in the men's space, guys like Andrew Tate, and not to say anything bad about, Mr. Tate, but like, guys like Rich Cooper, Andrew Tate, where they're like, the only way to get women is to like have tons of money and be an entrepreneur and have sports cars. And it's like, no, dude, no, you could be a regular guy and meet chicks. Like it's not, but these guys see that and they think, well, this is the only way I can meet women is if I'm a multimillionaire. And it's like, like, dude, there's guys in a trailer park right now getting laid, so
Yeah. they don't get that concept, you know. It's
Yeah.
just it's funny. Like once you actually end up being more in tune with yourself and who you are as a person, man, the possibilities are endless. It's just like I learned over the years, for example, with myself, I've been at different like, you know, leasing offices and stuff like that, or apartments or wherever I stayed at in the past, right? But I've learned to establish a relationship with the people that's working in the area, because you never know when you might need them. I had a leak about 3 years ago at this complex I was at, and
Mhm.
I'm talking about Paul. The roof was leaking. It looked like it was finna cave in, bro. I was so mad. I had to think like, you know what? Let me not react off of emotion. Let
Mhm.
me just call like a man, just speak to somebody and just tell them like, hey, this is my issue. This is what's going on. And just from me being able to just conduct myself in a good fashion, I was able to get my point across without really just, you know what I'm saying, fussing them out and just getting out my emotion and blowing up to where I would have made the issue worse. And then on top of that, I was able to actually lead the head supervisor and bring him in somebody that was looking for a job. I didn't even know the guy. He just said, "Man, I'm stressed. I need some more people to work here." And I said, "You
Mhm.
know what, man? Let me see what I can do for you." And I realized I was able to actually establish a relationship and a bond at the same time, just from being myself, just being like, I don't know what can work, but if I can help you, let me see what I can do. If you're willing to be helped, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and that kind of thing that's a good skill to have too, is just basic networking, you know? Being able to be social and personable to anybody that you meet, because you never know who could hook you up. You know, a lot every major job I've had in my life has been from people I know, not because of what I know,
That's
you
dope.
know?
That's dope.
Yeah.
That
And
is
it's like
so good.
I mean, like, and then, you know, like that's at least gotten me an interview, you know, and then what I know, I could showcase it at the interview, but it's because I knew someone, they vouched for me, is really what got me like every major job I've had in my life. So,
I like that, man. Let me ask you this, because I know you get a lot of clients from the work that you do, right? And my question to you is like, what do you have to consider before working with new clients? What is something you take into consideration?
well, one thing I like to make sure of is that that they're a good fit, you
Mm,
know, because sometimes a lot of guys come to the space, a lot of guys come to the red pill space, or you know, just they want to know how to get the women, right?
right.
But they have like deep held traumas, you
Mm,
know, they have you know, sometimes they have mental issues that need to be worked on, you know, by professionals, like by like people that, you know, counselors and
right.
stuff like the psychologists. So sometimes that will come up and I'm just like, I can't help you, man. Like you need to go to therapy and work on that stuff first, and then we can work on your social skills, you know?
See, I like that because speaking of that, you probably know this is one content creator, Mr. King Alfie. That's one of my mentors to me. He's like a big uncle to me. King Alfie, you ever heard of Alfie Kingdom?
Yeah, actually, he's good friends with RP Thor, who I work with on Rule Zero a lot, and I've actually been on RP Thor's Dragon Ship show,
I see
and
that.
and Afi's been on there before. Yeah.
Because you know what was funny, man. I noticed when I can't remember if it was either me, because I seen you before on somebody's podcast. But what
Hmm.
was ironic to me was that time when I happened to look on my screen and I scrolled and I had seen you pop up. And I can't remember who followed who, but I was glad that I had got your information, because I was like, man, I like the message that you're pushing. I like that you're telling guys to really just be in tune with themselves, rather than just trying to go, you know what I'm saying, for the badge, as we call it. A
Hmm.
lot of them are just doing this stuff, and it's like, yo, be who you are, man. Embrace who you are, and it's just powerful what you got going on, man. And I got a lot of respect for what you're doing right now.
Well, one thing I actually don't like to tell guys, just be yourself, because I think that a lot of that is it's a cop out, because a lot of
Yeah,
guys are being themselves and it's not working for them. So what I like to tell guys is you need to figure out how to be the best version of yourself, you
yeah,
know, because if you're just being yourself and it's not working for you, something's got to change. Like there's something you're doing that's not not getting you the results that you
I
want.
like how you put, yeah, I like how you put that. That does make sense now because I have told somebody to be themselves, and then I seen that they kept getting the same result, and I was like, I think I might have told them, gave them the wrong advice.
Yeah, I mean, you do want someone to like you for who you are,
Yeah,
but a lot of times guys don't realize what women typically respond to attraction wise.
mhm.
So, one of the big things that I had, one of the big problems I had was that I was super beta, dude. Like I was always the guy pushing for a relationship. Like I would meet a chick. I would, maybe she would kiss me and then I was just like, so are we boyfriend and girlfriend now? Like I would
Oh
just
man,
smothering chicks, right? I would text them all day long about like every little thing I was doing, like just made a peanut butter sandwich. What are you up to? Just dumb shit, right? Right. And
yeah,
then when I realized, like, dude, you are coming on way too strong. You need to sort of relax,
right,
hang out, hook up,
yeah,
and just, when chicks are ready for a relationship, they'll bring it up,
yeah, yeah.
and then and if they're not, great. Just keep having fun, keep doing what you're doing. Like, don't worry about it.
Moving.
Right. And the thing is, when you have that attitude, like I'm not pushing for a relationship, I don't care if she wants one, great. Like all of a sudden, you're not a needy little bitch anymore, and you're more attractive to women. It's amazing.
You're secure with yourself too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that was another thing too, is I had to learn how to be okay being by myself. Right. Like if I didn't have a date, or if a chick flaked out on me, okay. Like I like being home alone. I like, cooking for myself. Maybe I'll watch wrestling or something, or maybe I'll work on a podcast. Like I have things to do.
You have to be secure with yourself, and you got to be comfortable being alone. And I can speak that from experience because there was so many times that I enjoyed just doing what I was doing on the regular, but just
Mhm.
keeping hobbies going. And that's something that you spoke about on your last post that I seen on your page about never stop doing the hobbies that you've been doing. It doesn't matter who comes in and out of your life. You got to continue to actually live and be you and do what makes you happy, man. Because I mean, I feel like personally, that's what basically makes who you are, but you continue to evolve at that too and not be complacent or content.
Yeah, I mean that sort of thing. A lot of guys get into hobbies, they get into, outdoor activities and stuff when they're single, because they have to fill up their time somehow.
Yeah.
And they're also trying to meet people or whatever. So they're all doing it to try to get into their next relationship. And then once they do that, they give up on that stuff because they're like, oh, I got what I needed. I got this girl. And it's like, but dude, all that stuff made you an interesting person. That's why she liked you.
She with you. Yeah.
You can't give that shit up, and chicks might say they want to be the center of your attention, but they don't, right? They want you to be focused on this purpose, and then like they're coming along for the ride. Like they want to be a part of your lifestyle. So you got to maintain that lifestyle.
Hey man. And you know what's crazy that you said that? You probably have seen this happen before too. I had friends that I grew up with. And as soon as they got into something commitment, we didn't hear nothing from them no more. They
Yeah.
disappeared. You don't hear from them. They don't really follow the scene. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to talk to them every day, but it's just like, man, like, where your balls at, bro?
Yeah. Oh, I just did a whole podcast on that called it's called the emasculation paradox. Go check, like, if you guys are listening right now, like go check out that episode, the emasculation paradox. It's about a real friend of mine who basically, like, we've been good friends for like the last 3 years, talk to each other like every day, and then all of a sudden he gets in a relationship, like maybe I want to say like 6 months ago now.
Ooh,
Right. We've known each other for 3 years. He's known this chick for like 6 months, and he basically blew up all of his friendships. It blew up a business deal just because of this one chick. He doesn't want to upset her. It's like, dude, that is the wrong play, because if you're worried about losing a chick, you've already lost her.
yeah, you lost yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it's unattractive behavior is what it comes down to, you know? So it's really an unfortunate situation, but I used that episode to really, and I didn't call that guy by name, he's remaining anonymous and stuff, but I really wanted to break it down for guys listening. Like, this is not how you handle relationships. This is, chicks want you to be a man, and they want you to keep doing what you're doing. And if you're in the male podcast space, if you're doing date coaching and stuff like that, if a chick can't get on board with that, she's just not the right chick for you. So
The right one will support you, man, and that's real coming from Paul himself. I was gonna ask you where can the listeners find you online at?
If they go to comeonmanpod.com, that's where they can find all my social media links. They can find the podcast and all major podcast platforms with that. It's called the Come On Man podcast. Yeah, and they can also, check out like my Patreon on there. And then I also have a course on the law of attraction. It's the practical law of attraction, right? So I took like The Secret and I took out all the chick crack from it and all the genies granting wishes bullshit. And it's really a course on mindset, right? Because if you can get your mind right, you can fix everything else in your life. And that's what that course is about.
That's the whole point. And that's wild because that was the whole point of this whole interview, man. Just having self-improvement, understanding yourself, and basically having the right mindset to really go at it, man, and execute on a daily basis. If anything, what other services or anything that you offer, for other men out there, for those who listening?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's just I offer two tiers of coaching. So guys that are self starters, they can go with the tier 2. It's the least expensive, but they basically get unlimited text access to me over Telegram. So if they're on like dating apps, they don't know what to say, they can send a screenshot and say, "Hey man, I'm lost here. Like, help me out." And so that's available. And then there's a tier 3, which is they get all of that too, but then they also get a one-on-one call with me every month, and they can, we can just make sure that they're on track. We can figure out their goals better. And just sometimes they just want to sit there and get stuff off their chest too. That's fine too. I'm a good listener. So other than that, check out the law of attraction course. That's the big thing right now. Cause I think if guys just do that, everything else makes sense,
That is so real, man. So y'all have it, folks. QuisyloSpeaks podcast and the Come On Man podcast collaboration for today, man. It was a pleasure speaking with you. I know you got a lot more going on. I look forward to actually, getting up with you on the back end soon, man. And who knows, if you ever have a live or something, man, I'll definitely chime in and see what's going on. But I fully support everything that you have going on, and I really do appreciate your time, Mr. Paul. We'll definitely touch bases, brother.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
Likewise. Take it easy, man.